Okay, I didn't really want to make this video because I'm not one for drama. I'm not one to do the whole he said, she said stuff. But I also kind of want to make a few points clear and also kind of defend my integrity a little bit. I'm only going to be making this video and then afterwards I'm not going to talk about it again. But for a little bit of context, there's this one YouTuber named Beware the Awakening. I'm sure some of you already know what's going on with that fella, but I'll briefly just point out who he is and what he does. So he operates in the same space as me, LDF, and all the other YouTubers who make rogue decks, building interesting rogue decks and making videos on them, having around about, I think 4.6k subs or something like that. So it definitely has some sort of a following. Now, what has happened here with this Donnie is he has basically called me out for copying his idea and just straight insulted me. And I wanted to make this video to kind of show that, no, I didn't copy anyone and talk a little bit about that because it's a little more complicated, you know? And Beware, I know you're going to be watching this, so I'm just going to ask that you try and open your mind a little bit. I know you're probably going to think that I'm trying to manipulate or control people into thinking what I think and what agreeing with me, but I'm just going to tell you the facts, man. So the deck that was called out was the Darkrai with the Reboot Pod. The idea of the deck was to reuse Reboot Pod with Darkrai V-Star to then accelerate to Pokemon and start attacking, and I ended up with the Miraidon EX. So this deck came about from looking at the comments of my Blastoise video. I looked at the comments and saw one here, I think I commented on it actually, from QT Alex. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little bit better. And he said, you should totally do a video on Darkrai Arbok deck that did well online recently. It's pretty cool, and Darkrai has been a favorite deck from the past. I read that terribly, but you can read it yourself. I replied 6 days ago now, so nearly a week ago. I did see that actually, curious as to how it plays. So in commenting that, I went on to Limitless, found the Arbok deck and put it into PTCGL, which I'll show you now. So here we are on PTCGL, new deck 518. I've been working on a lot of decks since, of course, it's been almost a week. And you can see the deck here, right? Darkrai, this is the Darkrai Arbok deck. Now, when I was looking at that deck, I wasn't particularly interested. I looked at it and I went, nah, I don't really want to do that. Then I took a look at Darkrai because that was in my attention at that point and went, oh, it can reuse item cards and therefore can reuse A-spec item cards. And with thinking about the item cards you can use, there are 3, right? There's the obvious one, the Prime Capture. Decided not to do that because that's kind of the no-brainer. And I wanted to do something a little bit more interesting. And that left 2, which was the Awakening Drum and the Reboot Pod. The Reboot Pod seemed more exciting because you're using it to accelerate energy into play, and you can really do a lot of acceleration as we saw in the video. And so that interested me more, so I made a reused pod deck. This is the first iteration, which actually was with Iron Hands. And if you see the comment on my Darkrai video, you see someone mentioning hands, and I said there's one coming soon. I might do a video on this soon as well. So initially began, for me, as an Iron Hands EX version of it. And then with some more testing, this is the video one, but I've been testing one because I'm actually going to upload it soon. I actually ended up on, where is it? Here we go. I actually ended up on the second iteration on one with Iron Jugulus to use Jugulus as a way to accelerate energy into play fast for a new version of Turbo Darkrai. I came up with that and I thought, okay, that'd be a different video, but let's also see if we can go forward into this and see if there's anything else, because I thought, well, just how there is an Iron Hands box, there's also a future box. So is there any future attackers I could use with this kind of archetype? And then I ended up on the Miraidon EX with the Darkrai, which is the deck seen in the video. So that's how I came up with it. That was the thought process from beginning to end. I'm sorry, Beware, but I didn't copy your idea. I'm sorry. And look, I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, and it's going to sound very egotistical. And I just want to point out, I'm aware of this, okay? But the truth is, I didn't know who you was until after this. I didn't know that you made the video at all. And to even further that, I'll even go to another level. I'm going to go to my YouTube homepage and show something, okay? This is the content I like to watch. As we know, the YouTube homepage is the recommended based on the content you watch, right? So this is, I actually don't remember watching this one, but I like watching Healthy Gamer GG because he talks about stuff ADHD. I like roller coasters. That's something I watch. I like football. Hello, Zapdos TCG. Don't watch that too much, to be fair to you. And I also like RuneScape. Scroll down and you're going to see some bits here and there. I like watching Uncommon Energy. Just started this podcast and actually did a collab with us also. That's cool. I like some Counter-Strike videos. I like tech videos. But as you can see, I don't actually have a ton of Pokemon TCG content being suggested to me. There's the odd one here and there, right? So I don't actually watch people that much in the Pokemon TCG space. So of course, I'm not going to be aware of Beware at all. And when I am aware of smaller creators, it's usually from my comment section or just the odd recommended videos you saw there coming up. It's actually how I became aware of Ember Power TCG, which I'll bring up in a second as well, because that's important too. Also, Twitter plays a role, but Beware the Awakening, if I'm correct, doesn't have a Twitter, so I've never seen him about on Twitter either. But I just wanted to show how I came across the deck and also show that I didn't know you made the deck, mate. But I wanted to talk about something else as well, and that's the idea of owning a deck idea. I'm sorry, but you just can't own a deck idea. That's not how it works. If I made a deck and a few weeks later, LDF made a video on the same deck idea, and that's probably happened already. In fact, there's probably many times where LDF's made a deck and then I've brought out one that's similar. Or again, as I said, vice versa. Times where I've made a deck and then LDF covered it later. I don't call him out and he doesn't call me out. Why? Because we both know that there's no such thing as owning a deck idea. It just doesn't work. Now, of course, if there was a time where I see a video by someone and I'm inspired by that to make a list for that, then I do mention it, and I have done in the past. And I know LDF does the same too. This is just common courtesy and the way we go about things in this space. But it is very, very possible, and in fact, in this case, clearly inevitable, that after, 5 to 6 years of me doing this almost every day, that there's going to be a time that I come up with an idea that someone else has made a video on without even being aware that it happened. But the more important thing of that is I wanted to say there's no such thing as owning a deck idea. It just doesn't work, because then you could argue that I can't make any videos, right? Because you've made all your deck ideas. If the next deck I release is one that you thought of as well, does that mean I stole it again? No, because, one idea doesn't belong to one person, especially an idea as simple as that. It's not hard to come up with the Darkrai reboot pod engine. It's not a difficult idea to come up with. And I'm willing to bet that Beware, you may have been the first to make the video on it. But I bet my life savings, mate, you weren't the first one to think of the idea in the first place. So following that logic, could you then say that you stole the idea of the first person that thought of it? Of course not. That's not how it works, right? And it goes both ways. It's not that I'm saying, oh, I can make whatever deck I want that you make because you don't own it. It's the same with me. If I make a deck and you thought of it yourself in the future as well, I wouldn't be calling you out because I don't own any ideas in that sense. And another thing I wanted to point out as well, if we do follow the logic, right? If we follow Beware's logic that you can steal deck ideas in that sense, then why would I do that? Why would I do that with you and with other people before I have shouted them out? I've put my links in the description. I'll get more to that into a bit. But ultimately, I just wanted to say that the idea of stealing a deck just kind of doesn't exist unless it's really coincidental. And as well on top of that, look, if I stole your exact 60, right? If I started paying your 60 and claimed it as my own, then yeah, you have a point. You have a massive point, of course, right? Because that is me just taking your deck and claiming it as my own, which I think is what Beware is trying to do here, is claim that I've taken the idea and stolen it as my own, right? But going back to what I just mentioned briefly a second ago, I take a lot of pride and I take a lot of time whenever I can to support smaller creators, okay? Because let's have some perspective. I've got 20,000 subscribers, okay? I haven't got 1 million. I haven't got 2 million. I haven't even got 100,000. I'm not a big YouTuber. I'm a small YouTuber still. So I still understand what it's like to be kind of in the shadow a lot when it comes to the bigger creators. And that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. I understand in this actual space, I'm seen as a bigger creator because it's a niche community that doesn't actually have much in terms of content. So I get all of that. And with that position, as I said, like supporting smaller creators whenever the time comes to do it. 2 examples I'm going to give is one where I made a video on a deck made by Pickip TCG, where he did a Kecleon Lost Box deck. I believe I took the exact list and left his link in the description showing, hey, check this guy out. This is his list. I've done it before. And I also remember making a video on Ember Power TCG, as I mentioned before, where he was struggling to play PTCGL because he couldn't get in, which really sucks. So I wanted to make a video on that in the hopes that that raises a bit of awareness and that problem gets resolved. I think he's actually able to play the game now, which is cool. I don't think that's because of me, though. I think that's just in general. Now, of course, you might be sitting there going, sure, you're just tooting your own horn here. You're basically going, oh, look at me, guys. I support everyone. No, what I'm trying to say is, if I've done it before, why would I suddenly stop in this case? Why would I just go, all right, no, that's it. I don't want to support him anymore. I'm just going to take lists and do it as my own. You could argue views, right? You could say, oh, Sean, you're doing it because that's a cool deck idea. It's going to get some views. Well, first off, it wasn't, I think it was like a 7 out of 10, I think as well. So if that was the goal, then I failed there, but it would have got the views anyway, right? Regardless if I took the deck and said it was built by someone else, I still would get the same views. And that's proven before. Whenever I made a deck, when I made that Kecleon deck with Pickip TCG's deck, if I came up with that deck myself and made the video, it would get the same views. And so regardless if I shouted you out or not, it would have been the same views. So views isn't a motivator. It's not like I get more views by pretending it's my deck. That's not how it works. Now, you could go on to say that it's to earn respect, right? To be like, oh, guys, look at me. I'm a good deck builder. Here's a good deck. Again, let's just go with the line of logic that you can steal the deck idea. We're going with that logic here. I just want you to follow me here on this one a little bit and at least try and understand where I'm coming from. I've been doing this for 6 years, man. I've been doing it for a long time. I've had no issues with making decks, you know, almost daily videos for that long. I think it's pretty clear I can make decks every day and I don't need to steal decks from others in order to make my videos. It's nice to go on Limitless and see decks because it gives me a little bit of a break for a day where, you know, if I'm struggling to make some decks and I'm like scraping the bottom of the barrel, it's nice to look on Limitless and see if there's anything interesting and cover them as well. And also to point out before in terms of like giving credit, I've always given credit whenever I've done decks on Limitless as well. So again, why would I change that? But for the sake of like looking like I can make good decks, I've done it for 6 years. I've made enough interesting decks in my time where I'm confident in myself that I don't need to do that. I don't need to look good. And the viewers know that too, you know? I know a lot of you guys are just aware that I can make some fun decks. Like anyone can. You know, a lot of my viewers make decks themselves and they're fun, you know? I'm nothing special, okay? So I don't need to try and look good. So that's kind of void in that sense. And on top of that, you know, with those 6 years of making those decks and working hard, I've earned respect. So I don't need to cheat it. And it's the same for all of the other YouTubers. Hard work, it pays off, right? Hard work pays off. People respect hard work and people understand that I work hard as well. So by working hard, I've earned respect. And because of that, I don't feel the need to copy anyone. And again, sorry if that sounds egotistical. I just wanted to say, look, that's the reason why even if I could copy an idea, I wouldn't, because it wouldn't change the views and it wouldn't change the public perception of me. And for me, it's more so about just appreciating the viewers and going down that road. One thing's for sure though, beware, I wouldn't delete comments and insult them whenever you are being called out. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, man. Putting the defending myself aside for a second, because I think I've done that. I think that's done. And I'm sure a lot of you would sit there and go, Sean, that's not even necessary. You don't need to do that. And yeah, I know, but I just wanted to make it clear that that's what happened. So I can at least say my side of the story and move on from that. But I want to go into something else. In his community posts, the way he's been responding to people, the insults, he's thrown the R word around. He's not really been very pleasant whenever he's been called out. And I just want to say beware. Again, I know you're probably watching this. This just isn't a good way to conduct yourself, man. It's going to cause more harm than good. And if you want to be in the position that I think you want to be in, based on reading some of your posts of wanting more views and being being respected more by people, and by more people, then you need to take responsibility for yourself. You need to have a good sense of self-awareness. You know, lashing out in the way that you have is only going to make most people just see you as, well, irresponsible. And as someone who has very thin skin and is insecure, because me making a deck that coincidentally is a deck that you've also made before is enough to make you feel attacked, when in reality, that's just not the truth. People are going to see that and think this guy shouldn't be in a position of, well, in this case, power. And if you want to be in the position that you want to be in, as I said, you need a good sense of self-awareness and you need to be responsible. You need to think and you need to conduct yourself in a manner, because you are going to be a role model for people. People are going to look up to you and act in the way that you act. And in that sense, there's a responsibility there. And unfortunately, with the way you've gone about things here, you just haven't done that. You haven't been responsible. You've been too rash, too reactive, too aggressive. And it's a shame. It's a real shame, because when your channel was brought to my attention, I actually did take a look at some of your content and thought, wow, these are actually like pretty good deck ideas. In fact, I think even Trust Your Pilot was covering one of your decks on his Twitch stream. You're making creative decks and you're doing the right thing, but this reaction is not going to help anyone, not going to help you. And it sucks, because your channel clearly has a lot of potential. Your content has a lot of potential, but you're ruining it for yourself by acting in this way. So I hope that you learn from this, you take it and you grow. And that's what I hope happens here. So I'm trying to reach out to you and just say, hey, I didn't do it. And it's important to not overreact to things, feel attacked all the time by things, and just be sure in yourself that you will get there. But with as it stands, you're not going to get the position that you think you deserve to be in. And that's because you think you deserve to be in that position. No one deserves to be anywhere. You just work hard and see where you end up. And if you end up in a great position, then don't take it for granted. Take responsibility and do the best you can with it. And attacking people isn't the way to go, man. So I just ultimately more importantly, hope you can take this and grow. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to make any more videos on this. I don't like drama. I just wanted to say my piece and also try and reach out to Beware a little bit in that sense. In the hopes that there's something good that comes from this. Also, try not to send any hate to him. I know there might be a few here and there. I can't control that. But at the end of the day, it's just someone who feels like he's been robbed of something. And it isn't the case, obviously. Look, at the end of the day, people learn, people grow, people make mistakes. Try and be a bit forgiving and give him a chance. But yeah, we're going to leave it there. Take care and bye.